And then as I went along, there were years where I was completely burnt out. There are 167 students with visual impairments for every one VI specialist. And I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of time on my caseload. I don't want to feel burnt out or jaded, and that is not the way to be the best teacher. Here at Allied, our mission is to help you become the very best O&M specialist or VI specialist that you can possibly be by connecting you with thought leaders from around the world who will give you innovative strategies and the support that you need in order to continue to take a step forward. On this channel, you're going to find some really cool inspirational conversations. You'll also find lots of tidbits and tips and tricks that we've gathered along the way throughout our time here at Allied Independence. We do have a special bonus for you if you'd like to join us. We will be giving you my data collection system absolutely free. All you have to do is click the link below and join our email list, and then we can let you know of all the things that are coming down the pipe. Combating bad days, starting from the very beginning of the school year, which means starting now, if you can. Set class boundaries and a reward system with each of your students. Class boundaries, class rules, class guidelines, whatever you want to call it, can be as simple as a few expectations that you both set and agree to, and then deciding how many days out of your X amount of days of class that you're going to have, they need to be able to perform at those expectations for them to get a fun lesson, a snow cone, something exciting, something for them to work towards in a positive. That way, you're setting yourself up for good behavior. You both know exactly what's happening before you even get into the day. You both know the exact expectations that both of you have for the lesson and how one another, both of you, are going to act, perform, behave, whatever you want to call it. Now, the rules that I have for my classes are very simple, and you can go back into the archives, past episodes, and you'll be able to find the ones that I'm talking about. I can't remember the exact name right now, but I'll just tell you my rules. And you can take these and run with them. I typically model my rules after whatever the school rules are, because it's much easier to get admins to help reinforce your rules when they made them up too. The first one would be safe. Second one is be a participant. The third, be respectful. And the fourth is to have fun. At least as an O&M instructor, if you are not having some sort of good time on my lesson, if you are not looking at this as a fun activity, then it can get really hot and boring real fast. If we're working on cane skills and we're just going up and down the hallway for X amount of time, that gets real boring real fast. So I like to have a little bit of fun in my lessons. And I like for my learners to know exactly what is expected of them. And we go over how to stay safe, what being a participant looks like, how to be respectful. This one's a big one in the community because we're not banging our canes on somebody's car, not their car tire, that's fine, but like actually picking up the cane and banging it against a car, or picking up the cane and banging it against a fence, or, you know, going onto somebody else's property or anything of that nature. We're in public and we'll be respectful. And then, of course, having fun. They can be very simple like that. The key here is that I get my learners to agree to these by having them make them up and by having them engaged with the process. And then from there, it's just a simple matter of data, black and white. Did you perform this way for X amount of days? Yes. No? Okay. And that seems to curb or curtail many of the issues. The third way that I try not to have a bad day when I'm able to be proactive about it is to meditate. This might look like taking 5 minutes or 15 minutes in your car before your first student and simply turning off the radio, not scrolling your phone, and sitting in silence. One meditation that I used to do that I loved, and I did this a lot when I was teaching full time, was I would get to work about 15 minutes early, as much as I could do it. And I would do 5 minutes of gratitude, 5 minutes of sitting in silence, and 5 minutes just envisioning the day that's about to happen in a positive way. If you follow law of attraction, this is called segment intending, where you're just setting your intention on this next segment of your day. So maybe you only have 5 minutes and you're going to take a few breaths and you're just going to think positive thoughts about that next student. And if that next student makes you grumbly, think broader. Stop being so narrow and descriptive in your thoughts, and maybe think about something that makes you happy about the student or about the school, or something that makes you happy about something that you're going to do moving forward. Maybe it's just that you're wearing your favorite shoes that day. Whatever makes you happy, get into that good space, that good mind. I noticed, hands down, and I still notice this, when I show up and I'm in a grumpy mood, those kids know it. And guess what? They match my grumpy mood and they skyrocket, both grumpy moods. It's like a grumpy mood rocket. And I can't tell you how they know, but they know. They know. If I walk into one of my students, say I go tomorrow, and I'm in a grumpy mood, guaranteed I'm getting bit. Guaranteed. But if I show up and I'm in a good mood, probably not going to get bit. Still might happen. Less likely. Less likely. Prime example. The fourth way that I'll say that I like to be proactive is to build in extra time to my lessons so that we're not rushing. I think there are a lot of us who want to do our best and be our best and expect our learners to do their best and be their best. And that is super great. But how can we get them to actually take in the information, slow down a little bit? And if we have extra time at the end, great. We can do nothing. We can play a game. We can sing some songs. We can allow them to put their head on the desk for a few minutes. We can do some relationship building. Gentle reminder that not every single moment must be filled with rigor. Rigorous activities are great, but it's okay if for a few moments after your learner has worked really hard, if they rest and you rest, and you're not rushing. And that takes planning. And that takes taking your ego out of your lesson plans, putting it to the side and saying, what does this learner need? Not what's going to make me look good, not what's going to get them to their IEP goal, not, oh my gosh, we have 10 problems to do in 10 minutes, but what does this learner actually need? And then the fifth one is really simple, and it's just a reminder to listen. Listening to everybody who speaks to you, like as though you have no idea what they're going to say. Those things that you just talked about, because I just had a bad day. What can you do? Here's what I would do. I can't tell you what you should do. When I have had a bad day, the first thing that I want to do is make sure I get enough water and move my body if I can. Again, it could just be a walk. It could just be sitting outside in a backyard, or just get out in nature some way to fill my body a little bit. And then when I can, I sit in the emotion, the shame, the embarrassment, the fear, whatever it is. And it gets uncomfortable. So I try to make time for this, because sitting in my emotions is not something that is on my calendar magically. And it's not something that I'm like, yeah, I have time for that today. I have time. I cannot say I have time for this. I have to say I'm making time. Sometimes that looks like journaling. Sometimes that looks like EFT tapping, which you can look up on YouTube. Sometimes that looks like meditation. Sometimes that looks like dancing. Sometimes that looks like screaming. Sometimes that looks like running sprints. Sometimes that looks like punching my pillow. Sometimes I can take a bath and that works, but typically that doesn't work for me to get my emotions out, unless it's going to be like crying or something. Then I can cry in the bath. But we can't underestimate the power of allowing ourselves to sit in the emotion. We can't underestimate the power of allowing ourselves to sit in the emotion. When we can allow ourselves to sit in the emotions, no matter how uncomfortable they are, we can allow them to release. And then make a plan to take a step forward. Figure out where you went wrong. What could you have done better? Allow yourself a moment of self-reflection without shame, because you're human, you're dealing with other humans. We are not robots, they are not robots. So it's okay to make mistakes. We just have to pick ourselves up, clean it up, move forward. Is there anybody that you need to apologize to? Is there anybody that you need to get back in integrity with? Is there anybody that needs to know that you care or acknowledge something? If so, make a list, and then the very next day, ask them if they can meet